Hey guys, I want to make this video regarding the way that I understand prophecy, the way I understand how things are supposed to play out in the end days regarding Israel and regarding Armageddon, the rapture, and just general understanding of the way things are supposed to be in the end, and how to spot false teaching regarding prophecy. Now, there are a lot of people talking about the 7-year peace agreement and Antichrist. A lot of people opining about King Charles being the Antichrist, and just various other random people, Jared Kushner, whatever. But you got to keep in mind the context surrounding the peace agreement, right? First of all, Europe, right, and European countries are already at peace with Israel, right? There's already trade relations. There's already military relations with Israel. So any kind of peace agreement coming from Europe to Israel is kind of pointless, because there's already mutually beneficial relationship between those countries, right? And not just that, but Europeans aren't trying to conquer Israel, right? Nobody in Europe is gonna storm Israel from Megiddo, but yet you have people on YouTube commenting and saying that the Antichrist is gonna rise up from Europe. It's King Charles. He's gonna lead. He's gonna have a peace agreement with Israel. Well, to have a peace agreement, first you would assume that there's bad relations, right? There's not bad relations between the UK, between Europe and Israel. There's good relations. You don't need a peace agreement. It's redundant, right? But who does have bad relations with Israel? Pretty much the whole Arab world, okay? So starting with that context, you can begin to have an understanding of when you can smell the bad interpretation of prophecy, okay? The Arab world is wanting to conquer Israel. The Western world is not. We have a tendency to want to protect Israel, not conquer it, okay? So for people to try to say that King Charles fits the bill at the Antichrist, he does not. He is not controlling the territory which was Gog and Magog, okay? That's pretty much modern day Turkey, all right? And they're not leading an army to overrun Israel. But there are a lot of Muslim leaders, right, that do have armies behind them who also want to conquer Israel and the Temple Mount, right? When we're talking about the Antichrist, we're talking about somebody who is going to conquer Israel, right, and sit in the temple, right, and set themselves up as God. And it's going to be, he's going to set up the abomination of desolation. You think King Charles is going to convince the Europeans and his army to do that? No, they would abandon post. Do you think they would do that? No. No soldier in the Western world would do that. Why? Because we're primarily Christian. Would the Muslim militaries do that? Yes, they would. They think it's the right thing to do. They believe it belongs to them, right? They have reason in their mind to do it, right? And they're waiting for their Mahdi, right? Their Khalifa. They want to set up their caliphate. They want to set up their old empire, right? Europeans aren't trying to conquer the Middle East, right? But the Jews are standing in the way of a lot of different sects of Islam to conquer the Middle East and to set up an empire, right? So, we're talking about a 7-year agreement that's being signed. The 7-year agreement has nothing to do with environmentalism accords or anything like that. It's a peace agreement. It's a peace agreement with Israel and one of her enemies, right? That gets broken in 3.5 years in, right? The Abraham Accords meet the bill way more than any COP28 or COP30 or whatever green agenda crap that the Europeans are signing amongst themselves, right? That's not a like a ceasefire or a peace agreement regarding some kind of warfare that's taking place, right? So to try to say, well, because it's 7 years or that COP20, COP30 stuff is going to last 7 years, so it must be the 7-year agreement that Daniel's talking about. Look, it has to match the prophecy way more than just the numerical length of the agreement itself, right? It has to come from someone who was attacking Israel, right, or was standing at odds against her, and would theoretically want and be able to take the whole nation and the Temple Mount, right? We're talking about a peace agreement, not an environmental agreement, okay? So keep that in mind when you start listening to people who are trying to interpret prophecy, all right? And these people, a lot of times, they think that there's going to be the rapture before that agreement is signed. There won't. There will not. I think Revelation is very clear, right? But before we are taken up, there is going to be persecution. There's going to be a war against the saints. You cannot have a war. The Antichrist is going to war against the saints, okay? You cannot have a war against people who have been raptured, okay? I'm sorry, but you can't have a war with someone that's not there, okay? You can't be beheaded if you're raptured, right? There's going to be a very large crowd of Christians who were captured and beheaded, right? Waiting for the rest of the Christians to be martyred before the second coming of Christ. Okay? So you can't be captured and beheaded if you've been raptured, right? You can't have a war against the Antichrist if you've been raptured. All right? So prepare, right, for these things, because you've been warned, right? And these teachers who are telling you otherwise, these teachers who are telling you you're going to be raptured before persecution, before tribulation, I think they're not just a little bit wrong. They are way, way wrong. And they're going to be very surprised when they find out that the Antichrist was given authority to overcome the saints. Well, I hate to break it to you, you can't overcome the saints if the saints have been raptured, okay? And they try to make the argument, well, when they're talking about the saints in this instance, it's the 144,000. Okay. All right. We'll see who's wrong. We'll see who's right. But I can almost guarantee you that the people who expect the rapture to happen are going to be before tribulation are going to be way more likely to accept the mark of the beast than those who are expecting it to happen after the tribulation. Why? Because their logic, and I've heard them say this, their logic is as follows. Well, this can't be the mark of the beast because I haven't been raptured yet. I've heard them say that on the radio. I've heard them say that if CBDC is rolled out or some digital currency is rolled out and you have to take a mark in your hand, it can't be the mark of the beast, because we won't be here for the mark of the beast. We'll be raptured before the mark of the beast. If that's the case, then why does the angel in Revelation go out and warn everybody not to take the mark of the beast? There's no need for that if everybody has been raptured at that point. It's very clear that if you accept the mark of the beast, you will burn in hell for eternity. Okay? So getting this wrong is a big deal. This is the most important prophecy to get right. So that's why I'm making this video, right? Because it definitely, your salvation, your eternal destination could depend on this. It definitely could depend on this. Don't take the mark of the beast, refuse it, right? And if they capture you, it is much better to let them cut your head off than to force you to take the mark of the beast. I'm not saying, that I would want that to happen to me, but, I'd much rather die in a firefight. It's just the way I'd say it. That's why, I'm the reason, probably, people like me, reason why there's going to be a war against the saints. Because I'm not going to want them to not capture me or my family. You're going to kill me, it's going to be with a bullet, not with a knife sawing off my head. Sorry. So anyways, wanted to put that out there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Best way to understand prophecy is to read it for yourself. Not just once, not just twice, but over and over and over again. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like the video, give it a thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe. And as always, don't forget, help out your neighbors.